Hello and welcome back to Him Reads as we continue with Meet Molly. Chapter 4 War. A while later, Linda, Susan, and Molly sat in Molly's room in their pajamas, still pink and warm from their baths, wrapped from head to toe in big white blankets. They looked like three rosy polar bears. The girls were whispering together in Molly's bed when they heard Mrs. McIntire return with Brad. Would you hula dancers like some cocoa? Miss McIntire called up to the girls. Okay, Mom, called Molly. We'll be right down. Good, said Susan. Now we can tell her what Ricky did. No, Molly said quickly. Why not, said Susan. I don't want to be a tattletale, said Molly. Besides, she'd have it too easy on him. We have to take care of Ricky ourselves. The girls walked slowly into the kitchen. There was a table set Ricky still in his pirate costume. He was sitting in cocoa and looking innocent as a kitten. Molly, Linda, and Susan sat far away from Ricky as possible. Well, girls, said Mrs. McIntire. How's your Hawaiian Halloween? Fine, said the three girls all together, but it sounded as if they meant just the opposite. Mrs. McIntire looked puzzled. Just fine? That's all? She asked, and why are you in your pajamas already? I want to take your pictures to send to Dad. What happened to your costumes and your bag of treats? They got wet, said Molly. Wet? asked Mrs. McIntire. How? The girls looked at each other. By a hose, said Susan. Ricky? We walked into a hose. By mistake, said Molly quickly before Susan could finish. Who would be using a hose on a windy Halloween night? asked Mrs. McIntire. The girls said nothing. Finally, Molly said, just someone. Mrs. McIntire frowned. Molly McIntire, she said, I have a distinct feeling that I'm not being told the whole story. Molly stared back at her cocoa cup. Ricky pushed his chair back from the table. Perhaps you can tell me what happened to Ricky, said Mrs. McIntire. Me? Squeaked Ricky. He fiddled the handle of his pirate dagger. I mean. Go on, Ricky, said Mrs. McIntire. Oh, it's just a joke, Mom, said Ricky. A joke on the girls. You know, a Halloween joke, trick or treat. A mean trick, muttered Linda. Well, what'd you do? asked Mrs. McIntire, staring steadily at Ricky. I just got a little water on their costumes, said Ricky. A little water, squealed Molly. You dumped pails and pails of water all over us. You squirted us with a hose, Susan added indignantly. You ruined our costumes and all our treats, said Linda. Is that true? asked Mrs. McIntire. Yes, said all the girls. Ricky. Yes, ma'am, muttered Ricky. He looked at his feet. Mrs. McIntire was very quiet. Then she said, Ricky, that was a very mean thing to do. I'm ashamed of you treating your sister and friends that way. I think that your father would be ashamed of you as well. I'm going to punish you just as I think he would have punished you. You apologize to these girls. Then you are to give your Halloween treats to Linda, Susan, and Molly to share. You may keep one treat and only one for yourself. I'm going to put Brad to bed now, and while I'm gone, I want you to apologize. Is that clear? Yes, ma'am, said Ricky. Girls, after Ricky apologizes, I want you to go to bed. Oh, come in later to say goodnight, said Mrs. McIntire to lift Brad. After he was gone, Ricky muttered, sorry. Then he shoved his bag of Halloween treats into Molly's hand and ran out of the kitchen. As the girls trudged to bed, Linda whispered, You were right, Molly. She was way too easy on him. Yeah, except for the part about your father being ashamed. He wrecked our Halloween and he's hardly suffering at all. Well, said Molly as she flopped on her bed, we'll just have to think of a plan to make Ricky really suffer. Let's let the air out of his bicycle tires, suggested Susan. Not bad enough, said Molly. We could put frogs under his pillow, said Linda. Dozens and dozens of frogs. Yeah, but then we have to catch the frogs, Susan pointed out. Ew, they all shrieked. We could disguise our voices and call them up on the telephone, said Susan. We pretend we were Mrs. Mobley, his teacher, and say he has to stay after school every day after next week for being bad. No, said Molly. That's no good. It doesn't embarrass him in front of everybody. You have to really embarrass him in front of lots of people or in front of someone he'd hate to be embarrassed in front of, like Mom or Dolores. said Linda. Yeah, that's it, said Molly. Embarrassment in front of Dolores. But how? Asked Susan. The girls were really quiet for a minute. Molly was still mad. As mad as a wet hen, her father would say. She could remember Ricky chanting, I see London, I see France, I can see your underpants. Underpants? Dolores, Molly thought, and smiled to herself. I think I have a plan, she said to Linda and Susan. But all three of us have to cooperate or it won't work. The next morning was Saturday. The breakfast table was crowded. Dolores, who had spent the night with Jill, was talking about the movie they were all going to see that afternoon. Ricky came to the table at last. His hair was slicked back with water. It's probably so Dolores will notice him, thought Molly, but she didn't say anything. She wouldn't say anything to Ricky. She was still too mad about what he had done the night before. Susan was the first to start the plan to get back at Ricky. She asked, This is my turn for 3 brown bags. We need to hold our Halloween treat, she said with a look at Ricky. Mrs. McIntire gave her bags. Linda had a hard job to do. She had to keep Ricky out of his room for a while after breakfast. Can I watch you shoot baskets? She asked Ricky. I want to learn how. Girls can't play basketball, answered Ricky rudely. Ricky, said Mrs. McIntire, what an unfriendly thing to say. You march outside like a gentleman and show Linda how to shoot baskets. She's our guest. Yes, ma'am, said Ricky. He and Linda went outside. Mrs. McIntire walked with Brad to do mailbox around the corner to mail a letter to Dad. Dolores followed Jill up to her room to listen to records. As soon as Jill's doors closed, Molly and Susan dashed into Ricky's room. They flung open the top drawer of his dresser and dumped his underwear in a brown bag. They turned his laundry bag upside down on the floor, gathered and wearing dirty socks from a pile, and stuffed them into 2 other bags. They made at least one quick check to be sure the room did not look disturbed before they rushed back to Molly's room. The window in Molly's room looked over the back door and driveway where Ricky was shooting baskets and Linda was watching. Molly opened the window wide. Okay, go in, she whispered to Susan. I can't do it, hissed Susan. I'm too scared, and it's lying. Go on, Susan, said Molly. You have to do it. Linda and I will never speak to you again if you don't. Just cross your fingers, and it's not a lie. Okay, said Susan. She went and knocked on Jill's door. Jill and Dolores were inside practicing the rumba. What do you want? Jill asked Susan. Well, said Susan, I thought you'd like to know that Russ Campbell is at the corner in his car. He asked me to run in and ask you if you want to go ride with him. Russ Campbell? Jill and Doris shrieked. Russ Campbell was the senior football star of Montgomery High School, where Jill and Dolores were freshmen. A ride in Russ Campbell's car was a dream come true for them. How do I look? Asked Jill in a panic. You look fine, said Dolores. Gosh, I'm glad we curled our hair last night. Let's go, said Jill. Let's go before Russ changes his mind. Okay, said Dolores. The girls galloped down the stairs just before they went back to the door. They slowed down, patted their hair, smoothed their skirts, and straightened their shoulders. Susan ran back to Molly's room. Get ready, they're on their way outside. A second later, just as Dolores and Jill strolled out the back door, Molly and Susan leaned out the window, yelled as loud as they could, and turned the big brown bags upside down. Underwear and t-shirts filled the air like a giant floppy snowflakes. Dozens of socks tumbled down. A t-shirt caught in the basketball hoop. A dainty sock landed on Jill's shoulder. Some plaid undershorts landed right on Dolores' head. What's this? Asked Dolores in disgust as she lifted the underwear off her head with very heavy tips of her fingers. Molly, Susan, and Linda chanted, I see London, I see France. Those are Ricky's underpants. Ricky, screeched Jill. That's revolting. She threw the dirty sock at Ricky. And I suppose that business about Russ Campbell was part of the joke, too. Of all the stupidest, childish things to do. But I didn't, Ricky wailed. Here, Ricky, Dolores interrupted. She was still dangling the undershorts to her fingertips. I believe these cute little underpants belong to you, don't they? As she handed them to Ricky, she winked at Jill. Suddenly they both started to laugh. They laughed so hard they had to sit down on the back steps and laugh some more. Ricky got very red in the face. He ran frantically, climbed to collect his socks and underwear. Finally, Dolores gasped, "Come on, Jill, let's go to my house. At least we'll be pretty sure we won't shower with some little kid's underwear." Jill and Dolores started down the driveway, still laughing at Ricky. Molly called out the window, "That's your Halloween trick-or-treat, Ricky." "I'll get you," Ricky yelled back. "You'll be sorry. This is war. This is really war. Suddenly, Ricky stopped. He stood in the driveway. Jill and Dolores stopped too. Molly and Susan leaned out of the window to see why. There was Mrs. McIntire staring at the end of the driveway with Brad. Her face was as cold and her face was hard and as cold and white as marble statue. "Uh-oh," said Susan. She slid down on the floor next to Molly. Mrs. McIntire looked out the window. "Come down here at once, girls," she said sternly. "Jill and Dolores, I want you to hear this too." In seconds, everyone stood on the back steps. Molly's legs were shaky. No one said anything. Then Mrs. McIntire began to speak. "Until there are no more tricks in this house, there will be no more treats," said Mrs. McIntire. "Instead of going to the movies, Ricky, you will spend your day raking the yard. Make sure you break up the Halloween mess you made, all the bits of costumes and ruined food. Susan, Linda, and Molly, you spend your day doing Ricky's laundry. I want everything washed, hung out to dry, folded and put away by the end of the afternoon. Jill and Dolores, you will take care of Brad." Mrs. McIntire paused. She looked straight at Molly, then straight at Ricky. "I suppose these tricks you've been playing on each other don't seem very serious to you, but they are mean, childish, and wasteful. I'm disappointed in you, but more than that, I'm sad and discouraged. If we can't get along together, who can?" Molly looked at Ricky. Ricky looked at his mother. "This fighting has to stop." Mrs. McIntire went on, "That's exactly what starts wars, this meanness, anger, and revenge. Two sides decide to get even and end up hurting each other. There's war and fighting enough in this world, and I don't want any more in our house. Is that understood?" Everyone mumbled, "Yes, ma'am." "All right, then," said Mrs. McIntire. "Get to work." Molly stood up and faced Ricky. "Give me your things," she said. "Here," Ricky said. "I think that's all of them." He pushed the bundle into her arms. "Okay," said Molly. "Listen, we don't want to keep fighting with you exactly. We're just mad. We wanted to embarrass you. We shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. I really am." "It's okay," said Ricky. "I guess I deserved it." He began to smile a little. "Your trick was mean, but it was kind of funny too." He laughed. "I'm kind of glad I'm not fighting against you anymore. You three have some pretty good ideas, even if you are a bunch of triple diffs. I guess it's better to be on your side than be your enemy." Molly grinned. "Thanks, Ricky," she said. She and Linda and Susan went inside. It wasn't so bad doing Ricky's laundry. Molly, Linda, and Susan pretended they were three Cinderellas before the ball. So went away. Molly got to be a Cinderella for Halloween after all. And later, when the girls went to hang the laundry on the clothesline, Mrs. McIntire came out to help them. "Sort of looks like an underwear tree, doesn't it?" she said when they were finished. She smiled down at Molly, who turned and gave her a hug. Her mother was right. It was much better not to be fighting. And that's the end of Meet Molly. Thanks for listening. See you later.